If you're just tuning into the show right now, we're talking about the victory of future president and former president of the United States, Donald Trump. And when I see him as a leader, excuse me, I recognize that he is potentially a volatile person and potentially an unpredictable person. But I also recognize that he is a person who is going to take no funny business when it comes to the security of his country. He has a strong track record with Israel, advocating for the strength and security of our country. And so I'm very happy today for the United States. I'm happy for Israel also because I feel that now we really have a partner out there in the world, a strong partner, who recognizes the need to completely slash terrorism off this planet, and to make this world a safe place for good, law-abiding people.
That's right. And it's interesting that you say the word world, which I think that's very true. I think that we're talking about an inspiration for the world. Malkah, whatever you just did now, I hear myself. Whatever was done is not good. That's better.
Is it better now?
Yeah, much better.
Okay.
There's an inspiration for the world that nationalist leaders can stand up and that people will elect them. That people want that. They want family values. They want anti-jihad values. They want biblical values. They want common sense values. I had a very important person call me today, and he goes, "Victory for common sense." I think that's right. I think Americans don't want to see, men boxing in women's events. People don't want that. People don't want that. They just don't.
Right. And they don't want to live in a country in which the borders don't mean anything, in which citizenship doesn't mean anything, in which none of the things by which we guide our lives mean anything anymore. They want things to mean things. And so, I think that, I have friends, though, who, from previous iterations in life, people who were distinctly not Trump voters, and they're totally freaking out. One of them wrote on Facebook this morning, like, "What am I going to tell my children?" And I really have to say, alongside this issue of electing President Trump in the United States, has been a certain mission to put mainstream media back in its place. The resentment that people have of not the excoriation of Trump, but the villainization of Trump, the villainization of their values. I think that in some ways, the vote for Trump, and a lot of people who voted for Trump can acknowledge that Trump is not like the perfect human being of existence of all time. Like, he is a person with flaws, and they were willing to accept those flaws because they felt that they were otherwise totally disempowered in this country, and that this was a person who was going to empower them and stand up against major forces that are silencing people all the time. So you have people now who have lost this election, as happens in democratic elections, right? Somebody's not winning in an election. But instead of how it used to be, Yishai, when you and I were growing up, where your candidate doesn't win, so you're like, oh, all right. Instead of that, it's like, it's the end of the universe. Hitler's in power. We can't survive this. We all have to move countries. Women. I literally saw people online today talking about how Trump is going to abolish the Constitution. So you have a media which has become so activist that it has inflamed the country, and people are afraid for the very fundamental future, like the very essence, the foundations of America.
I understand. You were in line and you heard people talking about that. I understand what you meant.
I don't hear you so well, Yishai. I'm sorry.
You heard somebody talking about abolishing Constitution
Yes.
in Israel?
No, the abolishing the Constitution in the United States.
You heard people in Israel talking about...
No, not people in Israel. People in Israel are almost universally pro-Trump.
Oh, so you heard...
people... I'm talking about
you were
friends in
watching
the
the
United
media.
States.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Friends from across the aisle,
Okay.
from across the ocean.
I just want to make it clear to people that we're in Israel. I just want people to
Right.
understand that. I
Right.
don't want
We're
people
in
to get
Israel.
confused. Right.
And I'm talking about people over there. But what I'm talking about is the global effort toward returning to sanity and returning to security. When I look at the election of President Trump, it wouldn't affect me, except that this is like we're dealing with global patterns that have to be altered. And I, for one, was in favor of Trump being elected, as much as I was also ready for Harris to be elected. If Harris was going to be elected, we were going to keep going and keep pushing for the strength and security of Israel, for rights of the Jewish people in our ancient ancestral homeland. But I'm glad that instead we have in the White House somebody who surrounds himself with people who understand that concept, and somebody who wants a return to sanity.
Amen. Okay, good. Malkah, let's take a look at some of people's comments. People have been, there was a lot of people watching. First, we have Salam from Pakistan. Bushra Ibkal writes right now to us from Pakistan. He says, Salam. And that's right, Salam from Pakistan. Salam to you, brother. And D. Cromwell writes, thank you for your prayers for America. Okay, and beautiful little hearts and flag of Israel, flag of the United States. We have more comments. Trump's victory, says Kanya Nedewa writes, Trump's victory is a modern-day confirmation that those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who harm Israel will face damnation for betraying Israel. Kamala and Biden have been woefully humiliated. There is definitely, it's a humiliation. It's a democracy. It's part of what happens. Go ahead, Malkah.
I just want to say something that I've noticed online today. I spent total transparency here. I spent a lot of time on Twitter today after this to understand what the atmosphere was. And I went to the accounts of a few very serious pro-Palestine movement activists to see how they're reacting. What I thought that I was going to see was a bunch of people who were really upset that Harris didn't win, that a person who would be an ally to them is not going to be in the White House, and feeling low that Harris had not won. That was obvious to me that that's what I was going to see. And I did not see that.
What'd you see?
What I saw was a lot of accounts who are like, well, you supported the genocide in Gaza, and this is what you get.
That's
right.
wild.
It was interesting because I asked myself, who is it that they think is going to be their candidate, right? You gotta vote for someone, I guess. And maybe that's an indication that they felt that that the Palestine, because from our perspective, Yishai, Kamala Harris was clearly the pro-Palestine choice between Trump and Harris. What are we even talking about?
Malkah, it's a psychological crutch that people use, that when they lose, they find a way to win. You know about the kid who was throwing up a ball and trying to swing at it with a bat at the same time. He threw it up and he swung at it. He swung 3 times. He missed every time. And then he goes, "What a pitcher!" It's a psychological crutch. Bottom line.
Well, I think that they also it was a certain kind of protest, Isha. There was this other candidate, Jill Stein, I think was her name. There was this third party candidate. I think she must have gotten 600,000 votes in the whole United States, which is basically nothing. But they were just rejecting the whole thing. In their opinion, none of these candidates did what they wanted. Anyway, so they were not sad, interestingly, that Harris did not win.
Malkah, the battle continues. And says Paul, good to see you going live. Yishai, I visited your lovely country 5 times already. Not Jewish, just a big fan of your country and people. I aim to come over next year. Again, God bless you, Paul. Thank you very much. And really blessings to you and blessings to all of those who love Israel. What is Israel? It's the spiritual capital of the world. It's a special place where you can connect. If your spirituality is attuned, you could really find something so special here. And thank you very much, Paul. What was that other Bob says, Yishai, I like your podcasts. You're an educated voice from the land of Israel that I always watch from Boston, Massachusetts, USA. Shalom. God bless you, Bob, and God bless Boston and the good folks in Massachusetts. Malkah, the today is a few small hours of celebration. I think that what you said about those accounts is nothing but defensive posturing, because I think that in the end, they know that when Trump was in office last time, their whole thing shrank and was dried up and was demonetized. And now we have to keep doing that. We have to keep doing that in this administration. And I want to tell you, my friends that called me today, that spoke to me, we were all about deep breath. We got to get to work. We've got a lot of work to do now, because we all understand that this is a moment to push forward our dreams for the Jewish state and for this region. Okay, a lot of folks from around the world are standing with us.